Borderlands 4 just shook up the entire endgame, and nobody seems to be talking about it. Long gone are the days when we're just farming for that one legendary gun so that our builds are online and we can start popping heads. Now we are pivoting over to a much more traditional ARPG system where we're gonna have to know all of our affixes and then look out for what our build needs. This grind is long, it can be frustrating, it can be addicting, it can either be the best or the worst decision that Gearbox made depending on how they execute it. What's good everyone, it's Verti here, and today in this video, that's right, we're talking about the license port system. So don't go anywhere, grab your snack, subscribe to the channel because I ain't ever gonna stop bringing content, so let's get right into it. Alright, so look, we're gonna talk about a lot of things in this video, but we're gonna start with the basics. What exactly are licensed ports? And I make this super simple for you because I don't want you to be confused, my friend, wherever you come from. If you've played an FPS in the past decade, these are just attachments. If you've played an RPG in this past decade, these are just affixes. As simple as that, you don't need to overcomplicate it. Now, the good thing is, and where the Frankenstein Monster ability comes into play, is that you can mix and match. So, any of the manufacturers can be partnered with any of the other manufacturers, giving you the unique creations that you can have that will match your playstyle. There is some caveats to this, as always is, right? I mean, realistically speaking, there are always going to be a couple of them that will be stronger than the rest and a couple of them that will fall behind. That will be Gearbox's responsibility to manage and balance those, not ours to worry about for today. Today we're looking out for the future and the hopefulness of it all. So, what do we know so far? All these affixes or all these license ports are gonna have to be formed in a very unique way. And that's where the slight complications come in, you could say. That role play with me here. What do we need to do and what do we need to get to a god roll? First of all, the weapon needs to drop. Second of all, that weapon needs to have a good base. Third of all, it needs to have a good rarity. Fourth, it needs to have enough license ports on it, or the maximum to be said. And we don't know how that's going to work, but what we do know, and what they did say, that the higher the rarity, the more ports you can have. Now, what they didn't say, and that's coming from my pedantic brain, what they didn't say is that the more ports it will have. So if there is a possibility where a legendary drops with only one unique license port, is much different than if a legendary can only drop with at least 4 license ports. There is a whole lot of different enchiladas in there, my friends. So look, after that, once we have enough of all the license ports, it needs to be the right manufacturers on the right places with the good amount of god rolliness in there. So the stats maxed out what they give. Boy, that is a whole lot of probability down the shitter and a whole lot of time spent farming guns. Let me tell you that. You can easily see how they got to the 38 billion number that they were touting out, right? It's not 38 billion different guns. It's 38 billion different variations of, I don't know, shotgun of the eagle and shotgun of the shitty bear and whatever have you, right? Clearly. Which I'm fine with, but you gotta know how to read between the lines, you know what I mean? All right, so what else do we know? We know that there are going to be 8 different gun bases, and there's some tinfoil in there as well, right? So 8 different gun bases: Jacobs, Torque, Malevolent, Tyrior, Vladov, and then the 3 news, which is Reaper, Order, and they are there, the Dandelion, whatever the fuck that is, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it anyway. Now, put it up on the screen, the picture, wherever it is. I don't know where I'm going to put myself yet. If you're keen-eyed, because I know that you're an expert, especially if you watch my videos, subscribe, by the way, and stick around for the rest. Hyperion. Now, if Hyperion is available as a port, then that would mean that there are manufacturers from the Borderlands franchise that are only available as separate licensed ports, only not gun bases. Which means Dahl, Atlas, Children of the Vault, and Hyperion. And if that's the case, you're looking at 12 different license port possibilities for 4 slots at least. Maybe more for legendaries. We don't know what that gun is on the screenshots, right? To complicate this further, slot may matter. So let me paint you a picture. If Jacobs is exclusively only for barrels and the only thing they do is give you ricochet, no issues. But if Jacobs can be barrel, magazine, scope, all giving different kind of affixes or stat boosts to your gun, you know, you know what I mean, right? That's a whole lot of more probabilities that suddenly just opened up. I mean, we're talking about here then to the 0.0001% for an absolute god roll of a weapon, including how big of a range these can have, right? It's different if it's 5% versus if it can be 15% with a variation of a much granular steps within it. That's going to be insane. Now, what is the problem that we have with this? And I'll talk about this a little bit. It's more on the negative side, right? And I'll say it right away. We have to talk about this because of fucking Diablo 4. They messed up so bad, it's ridiculous. If they want us to farm guns hundreds of hours in shitty, shallow endgame content, no one's gonna be happy about that. And I'm hyped for the game. I'm a shill for the game, right? I'll put my hands up and I say I'm excited to play Borderlands 4, but I'll also say I'll be pissed off if this ends up being nothing but a crash grab and if the content is gonna be shallow. Hopefully, it's not going to be the case. I'm not expecting it to be the case. I have enjoyed almost every single Borderlands so far. So, caveat there. But they need to make sure that the endgame activity reflects and there is enough variety with bosses, chests, timed events, endgame vaults, difficult vaults. You need to have that drive, that inclination to actually want to farm for the god roll of a weapon. And there needs to be content that requires you to farm it. Because if you can kill everything with just a basic random gun that you find, there's no end game, right? It's as simple as that. If it's going to be like Diablo 4, that will be horrible. If it's going to be like Path of Exile 2, that will be much more interesting because there we know that the pinnacle bosses are so freaking hard that they're making streamers quit, right? And that's what we want to see. We want to see longevity in the game where if you achieve something, you actually feel like you've achieved something. But enough rambling for today. Look, how do you feel about this? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below and I promise to answer to every single one of you unless suddenly this video gets 100,000 comments because I don't know if I can, but I don't think that's going to be the case, so let's just fucking go with this, you know what I mean? Fingers crossed. Anyhow, subscribe to the channel because you know what I'm going to say. I ain't ever gonna stop bringing content. So, see you in the next one. Peace.